Anthony here with my top 5 games of the year for 2012. I should mention a couple things right off the bat. Number one, this is not the Rev 3 Games official top 5 games of 2012 list. Everybody's gonna be doing their own. Max is doing one, Adam's doing one, Tara's doing one. You can check all those out. Number two, these are not in any particular order. I'm really bad at coming up with top 5 lists, and I like all these games so much, and they're all so different from one another that it's kind of impossible to just put them on a number scale. So here they are, my top 5 games of 2012 in no particular order. So I'm starting off, these first 3 are all downloadable, which I think is really important because I think 2012 was the year that we saw downloadables kind of become just as important and in a lot of ways just as creative, if not more creative, than a lot of AAA titles. So my first one is Journey, which is obviously just a very unique game. A few of the things that I loved about it were obviously its visual style is unbelievable. The score, the soundtrack by Austin Wintory was great, but it's also just the best use of online co-op I think I've maybe ever seen. There's just something about the kind of melody language that you use and the fact that you can't directly interact with this person that just makes you somehow imagine the best in them and want to help them. Absolutely amazing game, very unique. The next one is also a kind of a unique downloadable. It's Fez, and Fez got some shit this year, man, didn't it? So obviously there was a lot of controversy around Phil as a developer. There was a lot of controversy around the patch, and it brought into question the whole Microsoft patching system and how that all works. But if you kind of push beyond all that and actually sit down and play Fez, it's great in a very classic, pre-internet, figure out all the secret rooms and cheats yourself, share them with your friends. The whole aesthetic is great, and obviously Disaster Piece's soundtrack, really amazing. Hopefully, you know, we're gonna see this game come out on some other platforms, drama-free, and I think more people will get into it. The third downloadable on my list is Spelunky. Spelunky is the most satisfying and infuriating experience I think I had this year all in one. Something about that roguelike generation of the caves that always keeps you on your toes. You never know what's coming next. Just sort of like the tight control, all the surprises. I loved it, minus that opening theme song. If it wasn't for that opening theme song, I think Spelunky would be a 100% perfect game. How about that? Maybe if I did numbers, it would be number 1 if it wasn't for that off-tune saxophone in the beginning. I love you guys. So my 2 favorite AAA games, big releases of 2012, both have something in common, and that's that they took genres that I'm not normally really immersed in or really even interested in. I wouldn't call myself fans of them, but they twisted them just enough to make them the most interesting games of the year for me. So the first one did it with open world games, and it was Sleeping Dogs. Now Sleeping Dogs, for a lot of hardcore open world fans, I think, didn't have as much to do as they would have liked, but for me, I really enjoyed the balance of story and the balance in all the different mechanics. It was just as satisfying to be in a gunfight as it was to be in a fist fight, as it was to use the environment, as it was to drive around. I even played racing missions in Sleeping Dogs, and I don't play racing missions in open world games. I really love that one a lot, and it kind of drew me in and made me more interested in open world stuff. So how about that?
We done?
Last one on my list took another genre that I'm not normally super enthusiastic about, stealth, and turned it into something very compelling for me, and that was Dishonored. Dishonored, it had just as much to do with the world, the art direction, and the design of the game as it had to do with the mechanics. I know some people thought the stealth was a little simplified in it, and I think that's fine, because for me, the use of the powers and the hand-to-hand combat really made up for that. There's just something about Dunwall, man. It's just such an amazingly unique world to run around in with all its tentacle whales and oil power, and It's like magic, but it's not really magic. And it's like technology, but it's not really technology. It's not quite steampunk. It just had its own thing going on, and I loved it a lot. I think most people are waiting for this to become a franchise, and that's valid, but I think that the first one stands on its own as one of the best games of the year. So there you go. Those are my top five, but in no particular order, games of 2012. I'm sorry. I love them all equally like children, and you cannot number your children. Dad. So remember that Max, Tara, and Adam are all doing their own countdowns, so check those ones out and subscribe for more stuff about games. We're gonna do our top 12 of 2013 in a week.